All right. All right, good. Now I say that we are actually live. So, hi, Sylvia, dear. You're always the first one here. You reminded me of my beloved Chris. So, namaste, everyone. What an incredible moment in life. What an incredible time. Akasha here, Nan Akasha. Thank you for joining me for the Spiritual Weather Report for October 3rd of 2022. So, we're going into the really juicy, rich roller coaster month of October, which is going to end with the big eclipse. And it is hitting my chart, so I pay close attention to eclipses. You want to make sure. I talk about a combination of it's intuitive reading, it's energetic reading, it's symbols and energies, and looking at them individually and blending them together. So there's astrology. I tell you certain things like it's going to be the full moon, and Mercury just went direct yesterday, but it takes about 2 weeks. Why do these matter? Because Spiritual Weather Report is supposed to be about cosmic energies, about all the energies we live inside of, we live with, we are one of. And how are they affecting us, or how could we flow with them rather than fight them? And my dear friend Donna Stellhorn is a wonderful astrologist, and she came on the show recently with her new tarot course, so you might want to look at that. She's just adorable. But we were talking about the volatility of what's happening. And what's happening is it really depends on many different factors. This factor, but with that factor, and that factor, but with this factor. So we look at that and we say, what can you do this week? What can you think about? How can you look at what's been happening? So sometimes it's good to go back and listen to last week's, or maybe if you're like, something started around the beginning of August, you could go back and look at a spiritual weather report from then. Because we repeat patterns and cycles. So one of the things that you're going to see is this eclipse will be related to the previous eclipse and maybe a year ago eclipse. And sometimes those are the bookends on a pattern or a chapter, or you'll see something disappear from your life and reappear and be reborn. So it depends, because this week we have the full moon and we have Pluto going direct, and Pluto holds the energy of being the god of the underworld, death and rebirth. So it's been in retrograde a long time. I think 6 months or something, like maybe not quite. And what does that mean? Well, that means that when Pluto goes into retrograde, it does what? Retrograde isn't bad. It means, to me, that energy, like Mercury, really easy to understand. Mercury is a messenger. So the energy of your messages, your intuitive messages, how are they getting to you? Are you opening and developing your intuition, like in the Intuition Awakening class or the upcoming certification class that starts Saturday on sale? There's a flash sale right now in the shop, so you want to go check that out. And there's that energy, so Mercury being your messenger, when it's in retrograde, which it's been for a month or something, it's now turning direct. It's taking a little bit of time. It's like sort of turning around, walking out the door, picking up the things, starting to go out. But when it's in retrograde, it comes in. It's like sitting with you. It's like whispering. It's going in your subconscious. It's digging around in the basement. Hey, do you remember you had this? So you've had messages, whether you know it or not, over the last 3-4 weeks, coming from deeper within you, deeper in your heart, deeper in your past, deeper in your other lives, deeper in your soul, deeper into a particular pain or contract, maybe in the throat area, wherever it's living. All right. So when you have the opportunity to understand, oh, I'm kind of in that phase, it doesn't mean because we knew we were in Mercury retrograde, we heard every message. Sometimes messages are delivered and they're meant to sit unopened, like a juicy letter that you wait to the end. Remember when we used to get actual physical mail? Never happens. And so, if you wait to open that beautiful card, later. So we don't consciously know everything that's happening within our lives, our body, the universe, the multiverse, every life we have in every soul, all the different chakras we have. They're like Grand Central Station, stuff's coming in and out, and hopefully in a fairly balanced way, right? And so all these things is, we're just the tip of the pyramid. We're the capstone. We're the tip. We're the point person for all of this energy, and there's a lot going on. So instead of trying to figure it out, we want to be receptive. So when we've been in that receptive phase, that stage, we want to realize now that Mercury is turning around and starting to go out into the, I'm holding the rosemary incense, starting to go forward again, quote unquote, in our perception, in our relationship. It didn't go backwards in retrograde, right? It just looked like it did. And then it's going to be like that, turning around and starting to leave. And at that point, there might be some few last messages that came up yesterday or today or tomorrow. And then it's going to be more like watching go out and pick up speed. And then where your message is going to be coming from? Well, you're still going to see them coming up from within, because there's going to be things that start to go, oh, that's what that was. I didn't know what that was. And you start to realize something, okay? Or you have a release. And your ahas, your releases, are the message bubbling to the surface. So as Mercury is going out over the next 2 weeks, that means that your messages are going to start to come from not outside of you necessarily, but of course they do. They come through people, they come through messages on the billboard, they come through whatever. They also come from expanded parts of you. Like, okay, now I'm going to go out and tell you what's going on out here, what's coming up ahead. And the energies in October could be called volatile, could be called disruptive, erupt. I kept hearing erupt, disruptive. And yet what we have really is just a roller coaster, and roller coaster is life. If you're decided to have the honor of being in a body in this 3-dimensional space, then you have to recognize you came from the first dimension. You're a descended God in the sense that you've come into the 3D, but you are multidimensional. You exist in every level, okay? All right, so the other thing, before we dive a little bit deeper into the energies for this month, is I thought that I do a lot of ritual. I do a lot of light body clearing and cleansing. I have routines. It's the one area in my life I am very, very diligent about for decades now. I have learned when you have a light body clearing routine, when you understand all of your different centers enough to know that you should brush your teeth type of thing, then you want to do it on a regular basis, because it makes a huge difference in your life. So this is part of my ritual. And so go to shop.nanakasha.com, check it out. If you're seeing it today, there is a flash sale on through tomorrow morning. We'll turn it off. And in honor of the Akashic Records Unveiled event. So I want to take a moment, remind you that is here on my channel. Subscribe, click notifications so you know when we're live. That was a phenomenal one-day thing that I did with 5 other speakers, and we dove into all different aspects of the Akashic Records. Money, sex, divinity. Archangel Michael came in. We did a healing for Florida. It was awesome. And make sure that you reach out to me or to us in some way if you're interested in the live course that is starting on Saturday, October 8th for certification. Now, if you've never done my Intuition Awakening class, you can receive this rosemary, okay? This is cleansing because of the herb. It's grounding because of the herb being part of Gaia. And it is the sacred smoke is carrying up and away and cleansing. So as I cleanse myself, you are cleansed through your palm portals, your crown, all your chakras, different parts of your cells and muscles, and anything else it's optimal to enter this sacred space in reverence, presence, and love. All right. We have equinox, which I still feel like I'm coming out of that portal. So you also have things unfolding from the equinox and from other moments. One of the things I teach my students and my clients over and over, excuse me for getting my comfort zone here, is to recognize that you are unfolding, and our agenda of I want to know what it means right now, and I have to make my plans, and I need to be certain, and I need everything to be lined up, and it need to happen the way I want it to happen. It just isn't going to work that way. I see myself backwards on the screen, so it's very disoriented. So the longer you track the energy that's happening, you also get to retroactively look back and kind of go, oh, or if in the new moon, which will be 2 weeks ago on Sunday, when the full moon comes, this is going to be a chapter, right? It's a section, it's a completion, and it's a harvest, it's an illumination. It's abundant. It's also starting a new cycle. It's also closing the cycle between maybe the last full moon and this full moon, or the last new moon and this moon. So everything is reading the patterns and the symbols and the movement and the interaction and the energies between everything. And we like to bring in these different divine tools to help to create a space that is clean and clear, protected, meaning open to what is optimal for each of us at this time and our highest good, and everything else may move on its way. All right, another tool I use is this chime. Bells, chimes, music, but specifically this type is extremely cleansing to the space. I can feel it here now. And if you start to become sensitive to your skills, to your senses, you're going to feel it maybe in your pores or your cells, and you're going to feel it in your chakras. You might feel your glands a little bit vibrating. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I always give great thanks to all of our tools. Before we started, I created an infinity healing chamber. So close your eyes and follow along. We call on the gold and silver ray to form a cone of light above and below us. And you just stand in your center. You become more and more present in who you are in comparison to the sacred space that you are creating and entering. So you just allow your senses to start to move around you. Okay, I can feel my whole head, even the physical part of it. The cells are buzzing, the crown is lighting up, there's a lot of activity all across my forehead. But many times a day, I'm activating my chakras, my light body, I'm developing my intuition, I'm using all the tools that I teach my students. So it becomes naturally progressing every single day. So now, open your heart. How do you do that? Take your awareness from the fact that you're standing inside of this temple. Above and below means we're perfectly balanced between the worlds. The above, the higher self, the spiritual world, the infinite source, and the below being subconscious and inner creation, and us in the middle, and bodying the above and the below, being the conduit, being the connector. Okay, so drop your awareness into your heart, and with your heart, say to yourself, I am ready and willing and open and receptive to be here now, to be a clear and open channel for my highest good, and to receive with ease and grace what is optimal for me at this time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now take a deep breath into your heart. Put that intention you just spoke into the breath and send it out into the sacred space. That's what we call a dolphin breath. They do that when they come up. And feel and see it. It's going out like if you dropped a rock and the ripple's going out 360 degrees, but it's also doing that up and down and around and around and around. And it moves through your cells and your DNA, all of your physical systems, and it moves through your chakras and your glands, moves through your etheric, emotional, mental body, moves through time and space to every level of your soul and being. And then it reaches this temple of light, gold and silver being perfect balance of duality between masculine and feminine. You can go to my shop and get the scale, the chart of rays, and you'll see that the 11th and 12th rays is the silver feminine goddess ray and the 12th gold god ray. And between them, they contain everything that is needed. So now with your heart open and connected, fully present, you just begin to listen, to watch, because this chamber sends energy to you and takes away energy you no longer are served by. We call on the all-seeing eye to wrap us within it. You're now standing wrapped inside the all-seeing eye. What does that mean? The all-seeing eye is many things. It is the Akasha, it is the everything, the eighth dimension that holds all the records of everything that have ever been, felt, done in any time, space, dimension, planet, or reality. It is also the all-seeing eye within you, where your brain connects the two sides. There are glands from the pineal, pituitary, and others that form the ancient Egyptian all-seeing eye. When they're all activated and aligned, you open your own inner all-seeing eye and begin to become a universal citizen, creating your own universe as you were meant to. When you're in the all-seeing eye, you're in perfect clarity, ease, balance, and grace. And then around that, we call on the Akashic Ascension sphere. It's a sphere made from the flower of life pattern, which holds every sacred geometrical shape that is needed to create any form of life. It is all around this entire structure, and it is pouring with white light, pure white light, moving through the petals, moving one to the other. And we activate this infinity healing chamber to infinity. Take a deep breath in. I activate this infinity healing chamber to infinity and rise with it. And you send your dolphin breath out with that intention again. You stay present with your awareness, because you are not your body or emotions or anything else, in the center of your core, your heart. And this ripples out. And you feel it softening and redirecting, bringing this message, this command, this order to all levels of you, mind and emotions, that you are ready to be between the worlds, to be inside this sacred space, to acknowledge its power, its love, its presence, and to allow yourself to release all energies, mental, emotional, thoughts, beliefs, fears, at least for this moment, and rise up to infinity. This is the perfect place for creating. This is a perfect place for healing. This is a perfect place for almost everything, because you are supported and aligned with all the optimal energies. So take a moment to send gratitude to this. This is the sacred space that you are in. And this is what you enter every single time you come on a call with me, whether it's a class, whether it's a private session like a soul reading, whether it's these free weather reports or the meditation. So It's very powerful, right? I feel like, ooh, yay. Now, inside that space is a great place to do your meditations, to do your messaging, to develop your intuition, to ask intuitive questions and ask questions. The question asking craft is very powerful, very important. So I always teach you to say what is optimal for my highest good at this time. All right. Don't say, is this good for me? Is this best? Will this make me money? All these things are subjective and do not take into account the multiple dimensions of things that are happening that you don't know are happening. So you could have all kinds of things boiling underneath that are ready to come to the surface, and you go, dang, I'm so tired of waiting for this. I'm just going to go do this. And you don't align to the energies and you don't listen within, and suddenly these things start erupting and they break down what you started or something, and then you get frustrated and you feel like a victim and so on. So you want to become the master. Stop waiting. That's the number one message right now. I even heard the other speakers say it in one form or another. It's been coming up for me all year and for my clients. Just stop waiting. You're done. Stop waiting. One of my favorite images that pops in my head as soon as I say that is one client I had that as I was doing the body scan. So the Intuition Awakening course is a self-study course, and then you get to join live practice sessions when you're ready. If you haven't done that yet, if you want to join the certification Saturday, you can. You just buy them both. There's a special price for both of them and payment plans and everything for you. And I tell you what to do per the time you have before it starts. But you can go into this. So in the certification, I'm going to teach a very specific step-by-step, easy to learn way to activate that chamber, to clear and cleanse your light body, to create a clear connection, to interpret, to embody certain principles, right? To do intuitive readings by multidimensional body scans. What does that mean? That means that you clear and cleanse yourself, you do everything that I teach you, you get into the sacred space, you connect to the highest good and what is optimal at this time for your subject, your client, or you, or whoever, place, dog, whatever, doesn't matter. And then you begin to tune into their field. But as we've just mentioned, you have multiple dimensions. You are also interdimensional. You have your soul is a bigger, and you are one piece of the soul. And so past lives, future lives, current lives, they're all exist in that. And you have a relationship to many of them very specifically in this life. Same patterns, same pains, certain powers they have that you're ready to have, certain agreements you have with those lives that you've agreed to come together. So when we do these intuitive body scans, it's one of the things I do in the soul readings. The soul readings include light body healing, infinity light waving, intuitive body scans, past life regressions, retrievals, soul retrievals, trips into the Akashic records, just anything very deep. So what I'm going to be doing is teaching each of these different steps that then eventually, if you want to, you could combine into doing the high-level soul readings. But the multidimensional body scan is what I'm teaching, and I'm teaching a way to get into the 8th dimensional Akashic records. So by December, you'll be able to do both of those. And if you had enough practice, you'll be able to get your certification, or as soon as you do a couple practice sessions, you'll be able to. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's very intimate. When we're live, we become very, very close. And so if you have any questions, please email me. Please let me know. There's going to be information below on how to get a hold of us. And what happens is that as you become more sensitive now, as you're going through the things that happen in your life, you're either more aware and you're less trying to control. So then you're less held back each step of the way. You're more aware of the synchronicities and the messages because there's so many of them. Oh my goodness. Okay. So the problem is not that you don't get messages from your angels or your higher self or your body. They're happening all the time. It's this end, right? It's this end of the receivership that we have to keep clearing and getting in shape to handle the frequencies and the energies that are coming onto the planet. And they're coming very fast, and they're going to keep peaking. And by the middle of the decade, we're going to want to be very clear and open channels that can receive and walk in two worlds all the time this way, connected intuitively and channeling that into the physical reality. That's why we're here. We're masters of this, and we have everything we need already within us. So we have to stop trying to figure it out, right? So what we're going to be doing is learning this and then practicing and getting the feedback right away. And you're going to have this wave of confidence. You're going to have this wave of healing, because doing a certification, you don't have to be a healer or want to hang out a shingle. If you're a parent, if you're a human, you want to be able to read your own records. You want to be able to scan your own body. You want to be able to increase your intuitive skills. And if you have a practice, an easy step-by-step way to do it, then you gain confidence very quickly. When you're in a group, we create a power ball, for lack of a better word, right? A sphere of light energy that expands and expands and expands, and it builds. And I teach you never judge yourself. You never drag yourself down the scale. You start to change the perspective. You start to have a self-realization. You start to have a when you make a choice for yourself, like a decision, like I'm going to do this. And then you show up, even if you're afraid you're not good enough or whatever else. Then you find out everybody has those fears too. And then you start to realize, right, who you are and what is blocking you. And then it becomes this fluid daily journey like I live, where it's like, oh, I wonder what that was, I've been awake since about 4:30. So I usually get up, go to the bathroom. I look up these days and I see Orion, the Stargate of Orion right above. And when I went on the equinox to the Temple of the Seven Chakras at the Mayan site of Sibil Shaltun, we got to go in at 5 a.m. and it was dark, and there was a crescent moon, and there was the Orion Stargate directly above the temple. And I've seen that also in Egypt over the pyramids. So I always thought of Egypt. Now I look out at 4 a.m. and I'm in Sibil Shaltun, and I'm in Egypt. And now I'm in 3 places, possibly more. And I know there's something going on. There's a communication happening. I like to always look out at the stars every time I wake up at night, because I think there's something going on, right? Jupiter was in the night sky a lot, and a month or two ago, you could see all the planets lined up in an arch over the horizon before the sun came up. And there's these energies we're talking about. So any kind of psychic or intuitive development, any kind of energy work that you can do, that you can learn, that you feel drawn to authentically, please take that step. Now, with the moon that's coming, you're going to have a lot of energy. It's an Aries full moon, okay? And anything that's been simmering underneath, any of the messages that have been delivered inside over Mercury retrograde are going to start boiling up. So we have the full moon in almost 7 days, right? In almost a week. However, it's the focus today because this is the pathway to it. So I want you to visualize that you see the full moon on the horizon, and it's hanging huge. And it's that silver light, and it's shining across these waters, and this pathway is leading right to you, right here, okay, right to your heart. This is the pathway to the full moon. And Aries is a lot of really strong, confident energy, okay? So you're going to want to watch where you allow that to go. The more you attune your senses with my activations and light body healings, the more you become aware of the scale and where you are on it, the more you start to understand that everything is energy and its degrees, and the laws of the universe start to become a part of you, and you just turn the dial. Oh, lack and abundance are the same thing. I'm going to turn the dial over here. So the fun thing is that once you have more confidence in your ability to receive intuitive things, the acceleration happens. Now, you might already be having accelerations and jumps, and then they're confusing, and they may shut you down. Recently, a client of mine that's in the courses and doing private work got rear-ended, and it was not serious. Nobody was hurt very at all physically or whatever, but it shook her up because she's learning to be connected intuitively, to look at everything more than just, oh, this thing, and to be careful not to judge it, right? Oh, this is terrible, but she got pushed, and it pushed her emotions, and it pushed all these fears to the surface. And she thought, oh my God, does this mean that I should do this and that and this and that, and I have to do this? And all this fear and desperation popped up, and this sense of being pushed to do something and not feeling ready for it. And so when we got together, we were able to say, okay, now look, step out of that energy, and we look at the bigger picture. So don't ever get afraid of things that happen, because then we get afraid that it'll happen again, and that I wasn't aware enough, and I'm not spiritual enough, or I didn't see it coming, or whatever. You have to step out of that. We're on a roller coaster. We're getting to go into the month of October. We're going to end with an eclipse and Mars going retrograde. And Mars going retrograde is a big deal because it doesn't happen very often. It's a multiple year kind of thing. And Mars is intense energy, right? So the god Mars, the god of war. But we don't have to keep saying, oh no, it's the god of war, so it's going to only mean anger. It's the god of masculine strength and physical manifestation. So I would really, because in a lot of ways you may already be feeling that energy. And with the Aries full moon and the Mars calling from later in the month, there may be this coming up. I find it sometimes like, and I go, why did I answer like that? This is really intensity. So I want to look to, okay, is it poking energy to come up I need to accept and release? Or is it energies that are starting to build and I need an outlet for that, right? So we want to be masters in managing our energy. Okay, good. Let's take a look a little deeper. Okay. That's what I'm looking for. All right, I'm just looking to see if there's anything else. Since I was talking about creating the space, I always do also make sure I have a citrine. I have a couple of them. This is for clarity that does not allow vibration to be lowered. Turquoise is always here. And that's for throat chakra and communication, and the Akasha, the blue sky. And I have a lot of my other stones here, and tools and feathers and so on, depending on what's calling. And I have a lot of shells because I find them almost every day. Okay, let's see here. Here we go. Okay. So this is the Infinite Show. That's kind of the title of my show. I've had shows for so many years. I had an online TV show for a while. I had a show on the Law of Attraction Network for a long time called Magnetic Wealth. I was hired by a radio network for a while, and they were giving me coaching and different things for their live network. We were doing virtual shows and just many different iterations of my podcast. I think it was called Bliss Life for a while, and so on. And there's a lot of that is on iTunes. Okay, good. So you can find me at nanakasha.com. You can usually see the links below. And like I said, if you have any questions about any of the courses or about working with me, please feel free to send us an email. If you send it to Donna, ASST, at nanakasha.com, then I can see it too if she's not there. Okie dokie. So here we are. We're having a flash sale through the next, till tomorrow morning when we come in, basically. On soul readings, you can buy one. If it says per month, it doesn't mean you're going to pay again. You just say you click one time. You can buy one, you can buy 6, you can pay monthly, whatever. The Intuition Awakening class, in and of itself, you get class 1 and class 2. It is all on video and audio and manuals for instant access, plus the bonuses, and you get to hear all the practice sessions, and you get several practice sessions. If you buy the certification course, it's already on sale, but we're having a flash sale if you just want to get this course for now, and I highly recommend it. And then this is the one we're starting on Saturday, the Body Scan and Akashic Records certification, and you don't have to use your certification. Today is the last day to get a Meet Your Power Animals session. That's my drum, by the way, from Taos Pueblo. Okay, good. So October opens a fun ride of a month with a very confident Aries full moon this weekend. Mercury went direct yesterday, so messages will start to slowly come from further out there than from within. And out in parts of you, remember, out, not out necessarily. But then also, you might suddenly start having people say certain things to you. When I hear a particular thing many times or multiple times, I start really paying attention. Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, goes direct and Sunday, and watch for, I think maybe Saturday. And watch for what completed in the last months and get ready for something to be reborn. And we're going to do the multidimensional full moon meditation next. Then you'll have it to work with all week. So October leads us to the end when we have Mars retrograde, rare and powerful, and the eclipse comes. This week opened Mercury going direct, and also Venus was opposite Jupiter, and I loved that energy of expanding love. I think that was Friday or Saturday. So that may still be something you could go back and scoop up, or you could look at an opportunity that was expanded in some way and through the lens of that love, right? I love this because Jupiter's my planet and Venus is Chris's planet. Pluto went direct, or is going to go direct, like we said. So that is very much about looking for rebirth, right? So coming in would be going into the underworld in retrograde, and then going direct for Pluto energy would be going out and going into the reborn phase, right? Rebirth, rising from the ashes, something new coming from the rubble. All the wildfires, there's producing massive tons of wildflowers now from the fires that were happening. I have a client who lives there. She was just literally overwhelmed. She said, I have never in my life seen growth happen so fast. And usually it's like the year later, and then you start to see the growth, just full on. She said where she lives is all like national park, and it's the most beautiful she's ever seen it after watching the destruction of the fires. So we have to be careful to not judge, right? To not decide we think anything is right or wrong or good or bad. There's certain codes, I guess, we want to live by from love, of course. But don't say, oh, the fires, it's the worst thing ever. You do what you can to help and send love, but you never judge. How do you know that didn't do something and reboot the earth and now the new growth? So this is very much like Pluto. The god of the underworld wasn't the idea of, evil, like all the horror shows have liked to turn it into. It was recognizing the two sides of light, the above and the below, the feminine and the masculine, the yin and the yang, the receptive and the active. You have to understand that everything's that way. We have little deaths every day. Your cells die off every day for sure, right? We have little deaths of who we think we are, and we have deaths of oh, that's the last time I'm going to ever go there or see that or be this, So we want to recognize that we're in a planet of rebirth and cycles, and it's happening constantly. And in the northern hemisphere, we're going into the fall, so I don't really have fall in the sense of leaves falling off, but it gets cooler right now. It's exquisite. And in the south, they're having new growth. Spring is coming. So both sides have spring and both sides have fall, and both grow and both die. So the underworld is not a place of evil and any of that. Also, it's an excellent place to have been going around and digging up old stuff. So if you're like my clients, all summer, it seemed like stuff was coming up. And we had a lot of energies in the first part of the year that were pushing things to the surface, that were going down deep and shoving stuff up to the surface. We need that. We have to go cleansed into our new reality. We have to be creators of our reality by becoming that. Not by thinking, not by reading, not by hoping, not by making money, by energetically releasing these old energies and rising to a higher state of consciousness and a more continuous way. Okay, so now, momentito, and a little sip there. Cacao. Now we have the powerful Aries moon. So the moon is going to turn the inner movement up, like if you turned on the heat and your water starts to boil. So think that you've been sort of in a lot of retrogrades. We had the very soft but powerful and beautiful and opening equinox, and we've had different things happening. And now as we're on this path going towards this full moon, Aries is heating things up. So anything that's under the surface that's been brewing or boiling or simmering, or that you've been ignoring, or that's ready to pop out and say, let's do it, it doesn't have to be bad. It's going to start to move more. So now you're going to have almost like steam, like these little explosions or these little excitements, and then it's going to build and build and build. So that's part of this week. All right, watch for that. Maybe look for things that are simmering that you could release the valve right on, so you don't build that pressure. If you have a pressure cooker thing and you've ever clicked the thing to release the steam, that's intense, right? It's hot, it's fast, it's loud, and it's wow, it's water in very fast motion because the droplets are immediately recognizable, but it's coming out as steam. It's acting as air. So air is mental. Okay, I keep staring at Aries and I'm like, no, Aries is fire. So Aries is fire, and air is mental, steam and movement, right? We're even getting movement all the way down into the surface, very much like that energy of Pele, of a volcano. Now you're going to have energy, so you want to be aware where you're putting it. All right, so here's an idea. Use the energies for freeing yourself, for healing yourself. Healing means becoming whole. What is it like to feel whole instead of feeling like a victim, or feel burdened, or feel painful, or feel sad, or feel forgotten, or feel whatever every day? What is that sense of wholeness? Could you channel this power into your healing, into your wholeness, into a new identity? How about confronting? Because look at Aries, boom, boom, boom. It's a ram, right? It's like, ooh, I love to just pound away at stuff. Is that the best idea, though? Use it instead mentally, that fire. Okay, confidence, right? No fear of confrontation, but don't go the stupid way and butt into things. Use this like a third eye and a crown that is not afraid to go through fear, to go through confronting the things that are coming up and boiling up in you, or what might come out, or what you might face. Just get rid of fear. Use it to channel the ending of some kind of limit. Make it be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but not in a bad way, right? We can be like, oh, I'm done. I surrender. I don't know. I give up. And I actually teach my students to do this. I said, be in that child's mind. Just say, I don't know. You know what? I know I'm meant to do this. I feel so called. I feel so called to do this. There's got to be a way. And it's making me feel afraid. It's making me feel I can't have it, and I don't want to feel that way, so I'm going to avoid that. Instead, use this energy to stand up and say, you know what? I don't know how, but that doesn't mean I have to let go of my dreams. I surrender trying to control everything. I surrender trying to be the one figuring it out. I surrender trying to meet everyone else's needs in this and every other life that I made an agreement in. I let go. I give up. And you're going to rise so fast, but you have to let go like you're on a trapeze. So there's this part of this energy that's just the way it is, okay? And so I think I'm going to just come back, say hi. So what came up as I was channeling that energy, because if you read some astrology or some different things to get an idea of what's happening right now, you're going to be reading an interpretation of that person. So you need to find the person that you like, how they interpret it. And if you want to learn understanding symbols, if you want to learn intuitive language, okay, then you don't have to say a bunch of unintelligible words and that's suddenly light language, okay? Maybe that's true for some people, but that is not actually light language. Light language has come to you, and you open templates that are embedded in your light body that are decoders that understand it. And you may speak it, but you don't have to, okay? So I've seen that it now becoming a thing where people are channeling light languages, and it's interesting. And I'm not saying I'm against it, but I'm concerned because I want everyone to realize you're intuitive, you're a channel already, and you need to look at what you are opening to or what you can open to right now, okay? So this idea is deeper, it's wider, it's a different angle on these energies, okay? So yes, you want to be aware of that energy, but if you're intuitively connecting, if you're consciously daily saying, cleansing, clear my light body, and I'm asking for a clear connection to my intuitive, and you can use the beginning of this call because I walked you through creating the Infinity Healing Chamber, and now you can practice that, okay? And so then you want to become more and more the listener, listening with 360 senses, than the figurer outerer or the teller, right? You want to receive, receive, receive. So this idea of, what if I just surrendered? What if I took this energy and is boiling up at whatever it is, and I'm like, yeah, bring it on. I want to know. Because guess what? It's already there. It's there, so why not accept it? Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or choosing it. It means taking your power back, saying, okay, all right, this is what it is. And guess what? I don't know. And guess what? I'm having a lot of fear about spending the money on this course or that trip, and you just keep accepting every layer of what comes up. Then it starts to lose its grip on you. You start to breathe. You start to have room. And you can just say, oh, okay, that's just the way it is. That's not the way it has to be. But it's been this way for the last 20 years or the last 10 days, or you've never been able to break it, blah, blah, blah. The doubt girl, the negative part of you, the voices, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then you just accept those instead of going, oh, yeah, that's right. You just go, oh, okay, thank you. And oh, that voice is talking again. And so pretty soon you just go, oh, that's just the way it is. So I had this really amazing experience. I've had so many, but I've studied so many mystery schools and so many courses and so many things. And one of the things I did for 5 years was study and became a master level hypnotherapist. And a good friend of mine did it as well. And we would fly to these conferences, and we would come home, and then we would practice. And we ate fire, and we broke boards, and we walked on glass, and we practiced hypnotizing each other over and over and over. I can remember being in my living room with my little kids. They were about 6, watching us breaking boards and stuff. And we did this session, and it was during my divorce, and everything was going away. Okay, it didn't matter what I did. All my money was going away, and this went away, and that went away, and I get a bankruptcy, and it was just like a big wow experience. And so he came over, and we sat on my couch of my little house that I was in, and did a session. Unfortunately, we didn't record it. We didn't have Zoom or anything back then, but we could have recorded it like on a little recorder, but we didn't, because I went to a life. So when we would do the hypnosis, it wasn't intended to be a past life regression. It's just that that happens so often and began to happen so often to my clients that I became like a past life specialist in a retrieval and past life and dealing with them. And now they're doing completely different things instead of just finding them and realizing why this happened and why you made the agreement that's holding you back from your money or your love or your speaking up or whatever it is. Now, both lives are resolving, both lives are freed, both lives are moving on and connected. So there's like a whole new interdimensional thing happening. It's very, very powerful. So at the time, this is what I teach my students is you just have to watch. You do this multidimensional body scan. You start to tune into the field, and you're attuned to what is optimal for you to receive. So as my friend is hypnotizing me, then he's like, "What do you see?" And I'm like, "I see a hose outlet on the outside of a building. And it's old and it's broken and there's torn rags tied around it to try to keep the water from leaking." And that's all I could see in this sort of broken tiles on the side of a house and a few little sprigs of grass, overgrown grass around this broken down hose. And it was all I could see for a while. So when you do this kind of work, you have to let it unfold. And of course, there was some inner resistance for me. But pretty soon, I followed the hose. And as I followed the hose, it turned into this whole life. It was a small town somewhere in the south of the USA. And I started speaking with this very heavy Southern accent. I couldn't even do it now. It just naturally came out. And I was this man, and he had one of the most really painful lives. And he was so broken and abandoned and poor and just you name it. And he was so positive. And where I entered the life was when he was a little older, and he was beloved in this town, and he wrote books. This was me in another life. And he wrote little pamphlets about how to be positive when horrible things happen to you, because his whole life was just frigging horrible. And I was able to be inside of his consciousness, and I was able to see that despite all of that pain and loss, and he was alone and everything, he had found an inner place of joy. It had broken him down. And his famous phrase was, "That's just the way it is." And there was this little book. I don't know if it was called "That's Just the Way It Is," but it was just powerful. I saw so much of my life. I got to feel that you could embody both the pain and the loss and the positive joy and the love, and the amount of joy that he gave the people. Everybody felt wonderful about him, even though he had not had that earlier in his life, because he came to peace, because within him he found the balance of being able to live with what had happened to him, but not let it kill his spirit. And when I came out of it, there was profound realizations about issues I had with my parents and who knows, other stuff, But it was still one of those most profound sessions. So those are the kinds of sessions that I do. And then now I mix that with shamanic journeying and energy work and a lot of other things too. So, but that's just the way it is. And so when I was watching this, just surrender and let yourself rise into this confident energy. Open that Aries head first, ready to go, not afraid of anything, because that's just the way it is. Okay. So let me go back over here. I think we're going to wrap up here pretty quick. So we also have something else that's really interesting, right? That is going on. Okay, you can see my screen right now, energetically. Please start. Thank you. And that is that Chiron. Chiron is an asteroid and it's called the wounded healer. We've talked about it before. What is a wounded healer? Well, this is a very mythical and mystic state of understanding that when you're wounded, the other side, like we were talking about, the above and below, the underworld and the above world, the yin and the yang, the other side becomes the enlightened healer. And so are you dragging around your wounds? Well, Chiron's been in retrograde for a while now. And so with the full moon, this Aries, this opening, and I want you to really see that forehead like a ram with two strong energies coming out, like those big horns or whatever they're called, right? And this, but this is your inner eye, okay? This is your crown. This is your time to rise up into that and say, you know what? I'm going to transform the wounded healer within that I've been playing, that I've embodied. Man, I nailed it, okay? Because you did. We did. We've nailed being the one that has to fix everything and keep going back and I'm not good enough. Fuck that shit. You're good enough. You're done. Okay? Oh, I was telling you earlier, one of my favorite visions was I did this body scan and I started to enter the field. I started to communicate with the field and then it goes deeper and deeper and unfolds like that session I just told you about. But this lady actually had a trash bag, like a big kitchen trash bag tied to her left foot, to her left ankle. And I said, you've cleared a lot of stuff. She said, yeah. I said, and you really did. You really cleared it and you put it in a trash bag. She goes, yeah, I did, but nothing changed. I said, because it's tied to your ankle. You haven't taken it out and let somebody take it away. Okay, so take off that costume, quit that role you've been playing, become the empowered healer. Transform from the wounded healer to the empowered healer, to the enlightened healer. Let go of being and carrying the energy of wounded, not good enough, victim, never enough, all of that kind of stuff. So the number one collective message I see, and this is one of the reasons why I love doing this report, because I get to take everything I see in my own life, in my cosmic experiences, like the equinox and these other things that happened to me, like my massage the other day, Friday. I laid down and I've been in the Akashic records and I've been in this whole fluid thing, creating this course and talking and saying, what's the best thing to come through me? What's the optimal thing to come through me and all that? And I laid down and immediately I was out of my body looking at me and I saw this enormous light being standing over and around the massage therapist with like arms on their arms doing different things to me, and all kinds of other things started to happen. So I want you to stop waiting. Everybody is waiting. I'm waiting. Well, one day I hope my higher self will speak to me. Don't wait. Maybe your higher self is speaking to you, but you're sitting here looking up, or you're doing a particular meditation you've done for 20 years. Stop doing what you've been doing. Do something different. Okay? Mercury's been deep within, digging up old things you don't need, and showing you the new powers you possess within. Like we said in the beginning, you don't know when they're going to pop up to the surface, but this pathway to the full moon is going to start boiling, right? Now Mercury goes direct, builds momentum. So are you listening to the wrong door? Are you missing the phone call? Come into your center. Did you get a call and not take action on it yet? Or are you still waiting for it to unfold and make sense? They're both okay. Don't feel like you have to rush out. That was one of the things with my client. The message from the car rear-ending, yes, there were a lot of messages, and we went in and found a sarcophagus inside of her sacral, and just amazing things were there. And they were abundant things that had been waiting from a whole other life that was waiting. So this is why the Akashic Records is so important. This is why the body scan, seeing what is this energy here? You might do a body scan on yourself and all you see is a big black box around your heart. Then you have to start to interpret, you have to start to receive, what does it mean? And you look at it deeper and deeper. So if you let whatever has been coming up build over the next 2 weeks to start your forward momentum, but stay present, okay? So talk to the moon all week. We already talked about Aries. So here's some things to tap into with the Aries energy as you're moving forward. Huge self-confidence. Take action. Head first. Don't shy away from confrontation in a loving way, or speak your truth, or perceived barriers within you, okay? It's not like go confront with people, but don't be afraid of any inner barrier, any inner pain. This is the time to move through it, and most of all, believe in yourself before all others, all right? The wounded healer mindset template identity is done. It's complete. Take it out. Let the trash man take it. Not that you have to decide. I mean, now you have to decide to train yourself into the new identity, whatever that is. Okay, so I hope I will see you. Please let me know if there's anything else I can do for you, and I will see you in a moment on the multidimensional meditation. Thanks, everybody. Mwah. Hi, Brittany. Rosemary is the name of my guide. I'm being guided to connect with her more. Ooh, I'm so glad. I've been hearing her name a lot the past couple months. Thank you, Nan, for your light, love, and service. Aw, thank you, Pumpkin. All right, check my text. See you guys in a minute. Ciao.